Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Welcome back to part 2 of growing trees on Mars. In part 1 of this series, I put together our Martian biodome to hold our Martian soil. I can't travel to Mars to get our Martian soil, so luckily you can find most of the ingredients here on planet Earth. The most common ingredient in Martian soil, coming in at a weight of 49.5% of the soil, is silicon oxide, which is just sand. I'll be using industrial sand, which is commonly used for sandblasting. The next most common ingredient, coming in at 17.9% of weight, is iron oxide, or rust. I've got plenty of rusty things around the house, but I'm going to make my own iron oxide using electrolysis. The next most common element in Martian soil is aluminum oxide, and I'll be making that from tin foil and muriatic acid. The next ingredient, coming in at 7.7% by weight, is magnesium oxide. I just went out to the health food store and bought pure magnesium oxide. The last of our major ingredients in our Martian soil is calcium oxide. Calcium oxide reacts with the carbon dioxide in the air and forms calcium carbonate, which is commonly used in antacid tablets. I'm going to use this product here, which is limestone. For my calcium carbonate, I'm using a product called dolomitic limestone. It's an additive to soils to make them less acidic. This product contains at least 20% calcium, at least 12% magnesium, and it has a neutralizing value, the equivalent of calcium carbonate, of 97%, so it should do the same function in the soil. There are lots of various trace elements in the soil, but I'll probably just add like a vitamin or something to the soil, and that'll get all those trace elements in there. It's time to get on our lab glasses and start making Martian soil here in the bonsai zone. Today I'm going to start the process of making my iron oxide and my aluminum oxide. For my iron oxide, I'll be converting these iron nails into rust. To convert the nails to rust, I'll have them hooked up to a battery charger, which will run current through them, and they'll be in this coffee pot with a saltwater solution that'll transmit the current. The black is my anode, the positive is my cathode. I'll stick them in, apply the current, and it'll convert one of them to iron oxide. I got this coffee pot at a second-hand store. So I'm going to put 2 holes in the top of it so I can stick my nails down into the saltwater solution. So I'll put 1 hole on this side. You don't want your 2 nails touching each other or it'll short out the circuit. I just about have my holes large enough. I'm just making them a little larger to fit the nails in. I should have used a drill for this. I didn't think this plastic would be so tough. Let's see how that's doing. Oh, there it goes in. Okay. That's a good size. I'm going to attach my connector up here, my alligator clip. I'll make this one a little bigger now. This X-Acto blade isn't exactly the sharpest. I used to use it for taking apart violins. Let's see if that goes in there now. Oh yeah, it does. There, so that keeps them separated. I'm going to fill the coffee pot up now with distilled water. This isn't a laboratory or a clean room, but I'm going to use, as ingredients that are as contaminant-free as possible. I've added my distilled water. Distilled water is not conductive to electricity. It's a perfect insulator. So we need to add salt to it so the electricity can travel through the water. I'll add the salt now. It's just table salt. I don't know how much to add. I'll just guess. I'll just add quite a bit in. That's probably good. I'll stir that up. There we go. The next step to this process is to add the anode and the cathode and supply electricity through this battery charger. The gas given off during this process is chlorine gas, which is extremely poisonous. So you want to do this process outside. All right, let's get one nail in here. And the other nail on this side. So the two can't touch. We'll hook up our positive to here, which is our cathode. Our negative over here, which is the anode. As I said, I'm not going to do this process indoors because of the chlorine gas, but I do want to plug it in and make sure it's working, and then I'll move it outside. So here I go. Okay, it's all plugged in. Battery charger display is coming active. I don't know if we're seeing any reaction. I'm not noticing any reaction yet. I'm still watching for any signs of life here, any bubbles or anything. I'm not seeing anything yet. It's been a few minutes and I am noticing little bubbles coming off the nail and going to the surface. You probably can't see them on camera, but they're definitely there. So there is some kind of a reaction taking place. It looks like the reaction is working. We're making iron oxide. I can see little bubbles traveling up the nail on the anode. So it's time to move this experiment outside. The next ingredient we'll be making is aluminum oxide. The process starts by dissolving aluminum in hydrochloric acid. I've got a bottle of muriatic acid, which is basically hydrochloric acid. I'll pour a small amount in this container and add a tiny piece of aluminum just to show you the reaction, and then I'll do the rest of it outside. So I'll put an eyedropper's worth of hydrochloric acid. Here goes my eyedropper full. And I'll put that over here in my container. And then I'll use an equal amount of water. Add that to the hydrochloric acid. The next step, I'll add a small piece of aluminum. Like that. And it should start to react. I'm not seeing any reaction yet. A few bubbles. There's some more bubbles. There's a big bubble. So those bubbles you see coming out are hydrogen, which is extremely flammable. I can hear it sizzling now. The reaction is definitely taking off. The aluminum is almost completely dissolved now. And that's about it. It looks like the reaction has completed. By dissolving the aluminum tinfoil into the hydrochloric acid, we're creating aluminum chloride. The aluminum chloride needs to be neutralized with sodium bicarbonate or baking soda. This will produce a jelly-like substance of aluminum oxide and water mixed together, and then you have to bake that solution to get rid of the water, and you're left with pure aluminum oxide. It'll probably take quite a few days for me to make up enough aluminum oxide and my iron oxide to make our Martian soil. I do have a scale downstairs where I'll be able to weigh all the dry ingredients. Here's the scale in the basement that I'll be using to measure all the soil ingredients. I have my little Douglas fir seedling sitting in there right now, and it tells you the weight up here. It's in pounds. This scale is really old. There's a calibration sticker on it here from 1963. 1 year after I was born. Guess that makes me pretty old too. The Martian soil is underway, and now it's time for today's update. My first update for today is my Crown of Thorns bonsai. In a previous video, I had hacked it back, and now it's starting to regrow all its leaves in and new branches. The Crown of Thorns just keeps looking better as the new leaves and branches grow in. I was really happy the way it responded to a hard pruning. I think I can make a really nice bonsai tree out of this in the future. The next trees I'll be updating are my Norfolk Island Pines. In a previous video, I severely root pruned them, replanted them, and it's taken several years before they start growing really well again. Originally, I had 4 trees. 2 of them didn't survive, one here and one back here. They just died. The 2 of the main trees did survive, and they don't have a very big root system yet. You can see how they're kind of, moving around in the pot. This one's a little more secure. And the rest of them are cuttings, and all the cuttings survived pretty well, except there's one that's struggling here. But all the rest of the cuttings survived quite nicely. I won't be repotting these trees yet. I'll let them strengthen up a bit, and maybe late spring or early summer, I'll be repotting them, and we'll have a look and see what the root system's like. They are growing really nicely now, all kinds of new growth coming on them. So they're looking really healthy, and I'm happy that at least some of them survived. And I did learn something. I learned how much you can prune the roots, and I learned that you can make cuttings also. I think when you're growing your bonsai, it's really important to know the limits of your trees. And with my Norfolk Island Pines, I certainly found the limits, at least with 2 of them. So now I know how far you can take the trees back, how much you can root prune them, before you actually start killing the trees. My last update for today is my Ficus Religiosa. This tree sat dormant over the entire summer, and when I brought it in fall, it just came alive and started growing really vigorously. At the base of the tree, there's a couple of new branches forming on the old trunk here. I probably won't keep them, but I'll let them grow for now. The top of the tree is growing really well, but I'm going to let it continue to grow through the winter. It'll get really big, and then I'll prune it back hard again. I'm hoping someday to get aerial roots to drop down from the branches to the ground and get a little more texture on the trunk with maybe some aerial roots coming out and growing alongside the trunk here. So we'll just have to see how it develops for the future. It's time now for viewers' picks. Viewers' picks don't have to be pictures of bonsai trees. They can be pictures of fantastic old trees that you see in your backyard or neighborhood. You can send the viewers' picks to the link in the description below, my email address, and just label it viewers' picks. Put your first name, whereabouts in the world you're from, and what kind of tree it is. Blake is preparing a pot for repotting his ficus, putting drainage holes in the bottom. Here's his tree in the old pot. He's mixing up soil, fixing the spots in the pot that don't drain very well, checking out his roots and combing them out. And here it is, all repotted. Julie from Kansas in the United States has sent in pictures of a grove of Osage orange trees. Really beautiful trees. I can't wait to start one as a bonsai. Masood has sent in a picture of his 3D printed pot, and he's got a pomegranate tree planted. Nishant has sent in a picture of his Portulacaria afroforest. It's looking really good. Today I started the process of making my Martian soil, and I'll be working on that in the next couple of days. So I hope you join me for part 3 of growing trees on Mars. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for watching here in the Bonsai Zone.